Hey guys, and welcome to Really Seriously For Real. I'm Marcia, and thanks for joining me for Outlander's second episode review of Season 3, Surrender. So you know it's all about the spoilers now. Let's go. The theme surrender appears to have several meanings in this episode for both Jamie and for Claire, and we'll get to that in a little bit. The episode starts out in 1752, 6 years after the battle at Culloden. We first see Fergus along with Rabbi McNabb, son to Mary McNabb, trusted servant at Lollybrock, and young Jamie Murray, son of Jenny and Ian Murray, Jamie's sister and brother-in-law. The three boys are in search of a hidden weapon on the grounds. So boys will be boys, as they say, and they manage to find this hidden pistol almost immediately. Just like any kid, impeccable radar for anything they shouldn't find. Fergus talks about killing a man during the Battle of Prestonpans, but he noticeably doesn't say how traumatizing it was, and instead glorifies it to the boys. He also mentions how he wished that he could be in the Battle of Culloden, but we all know he should consider himself lucky. Just then, British troops ride into Lollybrock with a shiny new captain, Samuel Lewis. He's looking for Red Jamie, or the Dumbonnet. The locals have told stories of a man with red hair roaming around Lollybrock, and Captain Lewis has surmised that Red Jamie and the Dumbonnet are one and the same. And then he prods the Murrays for information on Jamie's whereabouts. Now, of course, we know that Jamie was sent to Lollybrock last episode by Lord Melton, but they don't. Jenny and Ian insist they haven't seen him since before the battle, but Captain Lewis tells Corporal McGregor to arrest Ian in hopes that time in the garrison cells will convince them to turn Jamie into the authorities. Corporal McGregor is a Scottish man whose family fought in the rebellion. He, however, chose to fight on the British side and has ridden the air of infinite superiority ever since. McGregor will become a real problem for Fergus later on. Once they ride off, with Ian in tow, we see Jamie watching from the woods, hair overgrown, eyes concerned. The years have been long, and the yearning for Claire rough. When Jamie brings a stag for dinner, he imagines Claire is standing there on the grounds of Lollybrock, his face solemn and expression cold. But instead, it was Jenny. Inside, as they prepare the game, Fergus shows how his anger for the British is beginning to boil over as he talks of slitting the throats of the British and freeing Ian. Perhaps back in the day, Dougal, Angus, Rupert, Murtaugh, and Jamie might have done just that. Skillfully and cunningly, I must add. But those days were over, and Jenny dismisses the idea by reminding Fergus how it would be an absolute death sentence for all of them. Now, this wasn't the first time that Ian was taken, and she was pretty confident of his return. Jamie, he just stays pretty quiet and blank. Jenny turns to him and tells him that it was really easy to tell the soldiers that she hasn't seen him because he hasn't been there. His soul, his personality, he was hollow. Well, his answer to that was just to continue hacking at the stag. I'm guessing he wasn't ready yet. Later on, Fergus joins Jamie, and we get to see where Jamie has spent the last 6 years, secluded in a cave hidden on the grounds of his home. Fergus shows Jamie the stolen pistol and asks him to show him how to shoot. He says that he wants to be ready for the next rebellion. Now, you know, the last thing that Jamie wants is to think about any possibility of another rebellion, considering everything he lost, and dismisses the idea and reminds Fergus that guns are outlawed now. Fergus screams at Jamie that he's a coward and storms away, but not before a very light warning from Jamie to leave the gun alone and never touch it again. Why Jamie didn't take the gun right then and there, I just don't know. In the next scene, Jamie shows up at Lollybrock and hears Jenny scream from inside the house. But Mary informs Jamie that Jenny is in labor. The three younger boys are doing chores when they see a raven outside. Now, since it's thought that ravens bring death, the boys are scared for the young baby that Jenny is trying to bring into the world, so instead of, I don't know, doing a boy thing and toss a rock at it. Now, I'm not saying I condone tossing rocks at birds, but instead they immediately grab the pistol from its hiding place and shoot the bird, successfully killing it, but also successfully catching the attention of our soldier friends who are still patrolling the area looking for Red Jamie. Thanks a lot, boys. Jamie charges over and yanks the gun away, staring sternly at Fergus. Mary calmly comes over and announces the arrival of a healthy baby boy, although slowly taking the gun from Jamie. Then she rightfully scolds her son since he was also involved in something that could have had bold consequences for them all, and we'll soon find that it does. Jenny smiles as she watches her brother hold her new baby and reminds him that it's been a long time and he deserves to be happy and have children of his own, and even suggests Mary McNabb as a possible wife, a thought he dismisses and then walks out with the baby to show his older brother. Unfortunately, however, British troops have stormed into the house looking for the weapon they heard fired. Jamie, with barely enough time, finds a place to hide with the baby as the British ransack the estate. And good old Captain Lewis returns, storming into Jenny's bedchamber, asking her about the gun and threatening her and her family yet again. Noticing she must have recently given birth, he asks about the baby. And not nicely, however. He wasn't dropping off a gift. It was more suspiciously. Jenny, knowing that Jamie last had the baby, thought quickly and said the baby was born dead, hoping the captain wouldn't question or look any further. But watching this play out, though, Jenny took a real chance, because what if Jamie had handed the baby to someone else in the house before he hid? Things could have gone bad pretty fast. As it was, the captain wanted to search the house for the baby because he wanted to see the body. Thankfully, Mary walked in with the pistol, saying it was actually hers, and she kept it only because it reminded her of her husband. When asked why she even fired the shot, she said she was just killing a raven due to superstitions. Good thing this satisfied him, because they confiscated the gun and left. But not before unsettling Jenny, who notes the determination in the eyes of this captain, and she warns Jamie. Jamie's hurt just knowing, because for him being there is causing great harm to the only family he has left. And the point is driven even further when Corporal McGregor returns Ian home and proceeds to follow Fergus, hoping he would lead them to Jamie. Fergus, being the smart boy that he is, knew he was being tailed and led them in circles. And then Fergus, being the child that he is, taunts them, throwing his intelligence in their faces. That is until he's caught and his hand is chopped off. really didn't like that guy. Jamie, hearing the commotion, was watching helplessly from the shadows of the forest. When the men depart, ultimately leaving Fergus to die, Jamie rushes to his aid and basically leans on his memory of Claire and her knowledge of healing and saves Fergus. And in a touching moment, Fergus reminds Jamie of his promise to take care of and provide for him should he lose a limb during his service. He made me chuckle when he said, "In one stroke, he became the man of leisure." Silly kid. He's so cute. This whole ordeal, though, led Jamie to make the decision to turn himself in. However, he asked Jenny to join him in the ruse, where she would write to the captain, informing him that Jamie contacted her. This way, she could collect the reward and her family would be safe. Now, Jenny didn't agree with this and even asks, hasn't he seen enough of the inside of prisons? But Jamie retorts, little difference to the prison I live in now. That was deep. It pained her, but ultimately, they all knew they had no choice. Mary visited Jamie in the cave, bringing him food, and shaved him. He went to the river to wash up and returned to find Mary had removed most of her clothes. She tenderly told him that this was something that she wanted and thought it was something they both needed. He may surrender to authorities later, but I think that this moment was truly Jamie's surrender. He had given into grief and wrapped himself in a cocoon of pain for so long that he denied himself any happiness. He and Mary shared a moment together that would allow for the possibility of closure in a painful chapter of their lives. It's interesting because she told him that he could look at her, which through his tears, he gently tells her, she's a bonny lass, but it's just something he does. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. The next morning, as Jamie walked through the gates of Lollybrock like it was the first time, he and Jenny conducted their play skillfully and sadly, convincing the captain and collecting the ransom as Jamie is taken into custody. In another scene, Claire puts Brianna in the crib, but on her back. And then she looks up to find that she's successfully rolled over. Frank comes out from the bathroom with only a towel wrapped around his waist. And now I see I interpreted this scene totally incorrect from the trailer. Claire wasn't looking at Frank because, she felt some kind of way about him being Brianna's dad. But she was looking at Frank because her needs as a woman was beginning to overflow, and seeing Frank standing there with only a towel between them, yeah, bodies were calling. And it bubbled over one night when we see her yearning for Jamie. I mean, it's just full throttle as she imagined him one night in bed. Yeah, Claire, I get it. Letting her desires take over, she reaches over to Frank, lying in the bed beside her, and proceeds to fulfill her need and his, much to Frank's delight, I am sure. Now, another night, they have the Nelsons over for dinner. But when they leave, Frank and Claire go for Desire Fulfillment Part 2, giving into each other right in front of the fire. But as Claire moaned below Frank, her eyes were shut. Frank repeatedly asked her to open them. Hey, look, everyone's different, but it's pretty deep when you lock eyes with someone as you make love. It's like you're the only two people in the world. And Frank knew exactly where her mind was, even as Claire tried to deny it. And by the end of the episode, we find that they've opted for separate beds. But it was sweet that both Jamie and Claire Though separated through time, they still honored each other's memories in the same way. Claire later narrates how something was missing from her life. And sidebar on the cuteness, hello, adorable! Everything she's encountered up to this point has led her to finally decide to go to school for medicine. In the classroom, after introducing herself to a less than enthusiastic teacher, the students began to pile in, depositing looks of disdain and condemnation at their desks. Then, in walks a black man who navigated his way through the same looks to take a seat next to Claire. He introduces himself as Joe Abernathy. He will become an important part of Claire's story. We end on Claire walking by a bagpiper playing the song Scotland the Brave. It's the unofficial anthem of Scotland. And she reflects for a bit before dropping some money in the case. Now, I believe for Claire that ultimately her surrender was giving in to her new life. She just had to surrender to it because she was so resistant for so long, and but now she knows that she has to make something out of it. Honestly, I really enjoyed this episode. It gave us a deep look into their lives as they coped with each other and the lives for the people around them. And as usual, the performances were just on point. So what was your favorite part? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an upload. And thank you so much to all my new and current subscribers. You just don't know. I am so thankful and excited to continue to bring you new content. And there's more on the way. Don't worry, I'm working on it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, guys.